I kinda wanna talk about why character quests are starting to suck now.
Like it's been dead. To the radio station!
Torches! Get your torches! Pitchforks! Can't be an angry mob without pitchforks!
My friends, they are my power!
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Trieyx here, back with Genshin Impact video. So today's video, I kinda want to talk about why character quests are starting to suck now. But yeah, I don't know about you guys, but the character quests lately hasn't really been that great in my opinion. Obviously, liking things is subjective, so everybody's gonna have a different opinion, but for me personally, the reason why I haven't really liked the latest few story quests is because they kinda center around NPCs. And when I play a story quest, I play the story quest for the characters themselves, not for the NPCs. For example, the last two story quests that came out, not including the Kazuha one, because I haven't done that one yet, is Ayato's and Yelan's, and those two were very centered towards NPCs, and I did not like that. Like I said before, when I play story quests, I play them for the characters themselves. I want to hang out with these characters and learn more about their personality and a little bit about their past. And the last two story quests did not fulfill those criteria for me, and after having done Ayato's and Yelan's story quests, I left the story quest feeling bummed and kind of disappointed because we really didn't learn anything about these characters, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of a story quest. Like, the story quest was to be a story about the characters, right? But the last two story quests were stories about NPCs. For Yato, the whole story is kind of based around the two NPC characters, Kujo Kamaji, and whatever the heck the other girl's name is, I don't really remember, but yeah, they're basically about those two and solving their problems. And as for Yelan, the entire quest was about Reread. Like, my god. Even the ending animation of basically 60 or 70% Reread, Yelan only appeared for like the last 10 seconds of the animation, and I'm like, whose story quest is this, man? Like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't remember Ayato's animation. I'm not even sure if you even got one, but if you did, then it must have been lackluster because I did not remember it. Oh yeah, now I remember. Ayato's animation was us going inside the Kamisato residence and seeing him for the first time. I believe that is the animation, and not gonna lie, like, that's kind of disappointing. Literally, we got the animation in the beginning of the story quest, and it's not even anything crazy. How do we go from Ayaka's and Yoimiya's animations to like the last two story quests? Honestly, I feel like story quests are getting worse and worse now. I'm not saying I don't like NPCs being in character story quests, but what I'm saying is that they shouldn't be the main focus. Like, the NPCs should be a side piece or a side character in that story quest, whereas the last two story quests, it was all about them. And I really hope that MiHoYo doesn't really keep this trend going. I'm not sure why they kind of shifted the focus to NPC characters. Maybe because they're running out of ideas, or maybe because they're trying to save some of these characters' backstories for events in the future. For example, Ayato is kind of like very mysterious, we don't know too much about him. Same with Yelan. So yeah, they might be saving those backstories for future events, kind of like how this summer event was entire lore dump. This summer event was very lore heavy, so maybe they're saving it for events like that. But if that's the case, I understand why they do it, but at the same time, they should at least give some sort of backstory to the characters in their own character quests. Like, just a crumb. Like, we don't really have that much backstory, but just a little bit. Enough where we can actually call it a character story quest. But yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm the only person who feels this way. Maybe you guys actually like NPCs being the main focus of a character story quest. Maybe I'm just the odd one out, and maybe because I'm stupid, I don't know.
We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it.
But definitely let me know if you guys feel the same way as I do. But I kind of want to go back and see when they started to make NPCs more of a focus when it comes to story quests, because back when the game first started, the character story quests that we got weren't really that NPC heavy. It's more character focused. So let's go back and check some of the character story quests. So what's really cool is I actually found this out. I didn't know this was even a thing. But you go here, there's a way you can actually check some of the past story quests, and you actually reread some of the character voice lines again in this story quest, and that's actually kind of interesting. I did not know that this existed. Alright, so I kind of got lost a little bit.
Don't you have to be stupid somewhere else?
Not until 4.
If you guys press like the left arrow button and you guys using the controller, or whatever button it says on the left hand side where it says completed, just press that, and you go right over here where you see all the main Archon quests. Also, another really quick nitpick is that I I don't understand why people call everything a Archon Quest. Like, to me, when it comes to Archon Quest, it has to be about the Archons. Like, for example, the summer event is not an Archon Quest. I don't think anybody really called it an Archon Quest, but there might be some of you out there who call it Archon Quest. But even though Dendro Archon was kind of in the event story quest, it wasn't about the Dendro Archon. She's basically like side characters. Yeah, when it comes to Archon Quest, I feel like they have to be mainly about the Archons. Basically, a journey towards seeing the Archon or something like that. When Archon appears as a side character, that doesn't really count as a Archon Quest in my opinion. But I guess I understand why people say it's Archon Quest. But if they don't appear in the story quest, that is not an Archon Quest. Like, it's basically a story quest or a event quest or whatever. It's one of those things I don't get when it comes to the Genshin community. Kind of calling everything an Archon Quest, but at the same time, maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I'm actually wrong and everything is Archon Quest, I don't know. But yeah, anyways, this right here we see all of the character story quests. I didn't know there's so many story quests in Genshin Impact, but there's a lot of them. Wow. In the beginning of the game, we actually got some of the 4-star story quests. I'm not going to talk too much about the 4-star story quests. I'm mainly going to focus on the 5-star characters. I mean, those are basically the meat of the story quest. The reason why I did the 4-star story quest in the beginning was because there wasn't enough 5-star characters. Yeah, now we don't really see 4-star story quests, which kind of stinks. We get hangout events, which is kind of cool, but at the same time, I do like to see story quests. Hangout events don't really get the whole animation stuff. Like, you do get some like pictures or whatever at the end of the story quest, but I kind of want animations rather than pictures. But what's really cool about these archives that, like I said before, you can go back and kind of reread and replay all the characters' voice lines, and that's kind of insane, man. Look at this. So yeah, this is kind of like a theater mode in a way, without the cutscenes. I really hope they add something like this for some of the events, because there's a lot of events that new players miss. Like, for example, that very first event with Mona, Official, and stuff like that, the whole meteorite thing, kind of very important to the lore, and a lot of new players miss that. So I really hope they add the event quests here in the future, or eventually add theater mode. That would be the best case scenario, because reading dialogue is kind of boring, so yeah, I'd rather just watch the cutscenes. But anyway, let's look back at some of these story quests and see when they started to focus more on NPCs characters. The first 5-star character story quest that we got was the Luke's, and when it comes to the Luke story quest, a lot of these older story quests, I don't remember too much about them, so I could be wrong when it comes to some of this stuff. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but in terms of the Luke story quest, I remember it being mostly about him being the Dark Knight hero and stuff like that. I don't really think it was really too NPC heavy, so yeah, the Luke's one's kind of good. In terms of Klee's, I remember Klee's story quest, we were kind of just traveling alongside her and kind of going a little bit on an adventure with her, so it wasn't really NPC heavy. In terms of lore, I think we learned a little bit about her, so did a little bit of lore in that at least. That's pretty good. And in terms of Diluc, in terms of lore, I think we learned a little bit about him. I don't really remember. But yeah, these two were good. But in terms of Jeans, the entire story quest was kind of about her. We did do some side quests, or we did have to help NPCs, characters with their chores or whatever, but for the most part, it wasn't really focused on them. It mostly focused on Jean kind of being overworked. For the most part, the story quest was about her, and the other NPC characters were kind of side characters. And in terms of lore, we didn't really learn too much about Jean's lore. All we know is that Barbara and Jean were like sisters, and then we learned a little bit about Jean's motives and wanting to be like Vanessa, so I guess we learned a little bit something about Jean. It wasn't bad. In terms of Venti's story quest was kind of NPC focused in a way, in that we were kind of helping this adventurer find a sword or whatever, and kind of learning about Stanley and kind of him having closure when it comes to his whole like mentor situations. Yeah, it was kind of focused around NPCs, so I guess you can say right here is when they started to focus more on NPCs. But when it comes to lore, I think we learned a little bit about Venti. I think the ending animation kind of showed his past and how he came to be. I don't also think we have some lines at the end of the story quest where he kind of talked about his past as well. So I mean, we did learn a little bit about Venti. So yeah, even though the quest is kind of a little bit more NPC heavy, at least we learned some lore about Venti, so it wasn't so bad. I did enjoy Venti's one, even though it was kind of NPC heavy. They moved on to Mona's. Mona's one, for the most part, was all about her. Like, we did have some side NPC characters, like the whole thieves thing and stuff like that. But for the most part, it mostly about Mona and her kind of trying to find the successor to, I think, Alice or whatever. And then we found out it was Klee, and it was hilarious. So I really like Mona's one. Mona was great. And in terms of lore, we did learn a bit about her past, the reason why she's trying to find Klee and stuff like that. We did learn a bit about her, but not as much. The recent summer event kind of dived more into her lore. So for the most part, Mona's one pretty good. In terms of Albedo, I don't remember too much about him, but I remember we were doing some kind of experiments. He kind of like testing us and all that stuff. I'm not sure when it comes to lore whether or not we learned too much about him. I know that we have an event quest where we learn more about Albedo's like lore and stuff like that, but I don't think the character story quest really dived too much onto his lore. If anything, we learned a little bit about him. But I think Albedo's one was kind of mostly about him. I don't think there were any NPCs. Granted, we were on Dragonspine the entire time, so for the most part, there didn't anybody really there. The Albedo's one wasn't really NPC heavy. But when it gets to Eula's one, it did focus on NPC characters in terms of how they think of Eula. For the most part, the NPC characters were more so side characters, but the story did focus a little bit about her uncle, but at the same time, it didn't focus too much on her uncle. Like, it basically a good balance. It basically is more of a side character. So yeah, for the most part, the story quest kind of focused more on Eula, so that was good. In terms of lore, we did learn a bit about her lore, nothing crazy. We did learn about her house status or whatever. So Eula one's good, and then going to Childs. For the most part, Childs one, I like Childs one a lot. The NPC that was mostly focused on was his brother Tusser, which I guess since the family, I guess okay, it's kind of focused around an NPC character, but the entire story kind of centered around Child and how he wants to hide his whole secret from his brother and stuff like that. So for the most part, the entire story was kind of about him. And in terms of lore, we did learn about, you know, his brother and stuff like that. So Child one's pretty good. When it comes to Zhongli one's probably like the best story quest out there. Like, they had some NPC characters there, but they're like more so side characters. I feel like they wasn't really focused on them. They're kind of just doing a whole exploration thing. At least I'm thinking this is the right story quest. But they're trying to find the whole Salt God thing and stuff like that. And we learned about Zhongli's path with the Salt God. The NPCs in the story quest are more so side characters, so that's okay. And we also got some lore. That's a good thing about Zhongli's story quest. And then for the second part, I think it was about Ajdaha. The story quest is kind of a little bit focused on Ajdaha, but at the same time, Ajdaha is kind of like Zhongli's friend, and if they dived into some lore and stuff like that, so this one wasn't bad as well. It wasn't really too NPC focused, but also Venti is the only Archon that does not have a second story quest, and I feel like you should get a second story quest like Justice for Venti. I'm not sure why they're holding out on a story quest of Venti, but maybe they're saving it for like a future or something like that. Maybe during 3.0 might get another story quest from him. We'll see, but hopefully he does get a second story quest. In terms of Ganyu is mostly about her and about how she's kind of feeling left out and kind of feel like she didn't fit and all that stuff. And she kind of went through a whole bunch of trials and trying to become an Adepti again and stuff like that. So for the most part, Ganyu ones was focused around her. The other NPC characters were like the secretaries and basically side characters. So yeah, for the most part, Ganyu one's pretty good. They move on to Zhao's. Zhao's one, I don't remember too much about him, but I know that Zhao isn't really a talkative guy. He didn't really have that much friends. So I'm pretty sure it wasn't really NPC focused because he didn't like people. In terms of lore, I think we got a lot of lore when it comes to him. So yeah, Zhao's one's pretty good. When it comes to Hu Tao's, it wasn't really NPC focused. It's more so her just talking to other NPC characters, trying to sell her products or whatever. So the most part is kind of centered around Hu Tao business and trying to improve that. I remember she did try to help this one NPC character with her whole exorcism thing, but it really didn't feel like it focused around him. More so it felt like a side character, so yeah, it wasn't so bad. But in terms of lore, I don't think we learned too much about Hu Tao. I think all we learned that she took up her funeral duties a little bit earlier, so I hope in the future she appears more. I feel like Hu Tao is like one of the most popular characters in Genshin Impact, and the fact that she doesn't really appear in the event quest other than just being one of those side characters kind of stinks. So I really hope we get an event quest centered around her, and maybe she might appear in next year's summer event and might get some lore dump there. But yeah, justice for Hu Tao, man. Like I feel so bad for her. I really hope she gets more focus in the story later on. But yeah, anyway, to come to Yelan, you guys know how I feel about Yelan. It's basically your story quest. All we did was kind of just follow Yelan around, trying to investigate Zhi the entire time. And in terms of lore, we learned absolutely nothing about her. So we did learn a little bit about her in the Perilous Trail event, so maybe that's why I didn't really focus on Yelan's backstory. The event wasn't really focused on her, but she was like one of the most important characters there. Maybe that's why she really didn't get any backstory in this. Or maybe like I said before, maybe Yelan had a mysterious past, so they kind of want to keep it as an event later on, like who knows. But yeah, the Yelan one wasn't really that great in my opinion. I really enjoy Yelan's one, like don't get me wrong, like I love Zhi as a character. Zhi is definitely a really good villain, but I feel like Yelan's story quest should have been a event story quest that was voiced. That's how good Yelan's story quest was. Like I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's bad in the standard of being a character story quest. So I would love to see Zhi's entire story in an event, and then Yelan having a different story quest more so focused around her. The same thing with Ayato's story quest. I feel like his story quest, the story of the two NPC characters that are mostly focused around, it wasn't really that interesting in my opinion, and I feel like it could have been one of those side stories that are not voiced, and then have Ayato have a different character story quest. Yeah, that's in my opinion. Like I said before, when it comes to liking a character story quest or anything in general, it's basically very subjective, so Personally, I didn't really care too much about the story quest, but maybe you guys liked this. Yeah, basically my opinion doesn't really matter. The main thing is your opinion, so if you guys liked it, who cares what I think, right? But in terms of Ayaka's story quest, I really like Ayaka's one as well. Probably my favorite one, to be honest with you, because the story quest made me like Ayaka way more than I thought I would. When Ayaka first got announced, I didn't really care too much about her, but having played her story quest, I'm like, she's actually really cool. And I really like her personality, so that's why I decided to pull for her. So yeah, this was the first time that a character story quest made me want to pull for a character. So yeah, Ayaka's story quest was basically more so centered around her, learning about her mom, and also her trying to live life without regrets. Yeah, in terms of lore, we learned about her mom. I'm not sure we learned anything else, maybe like a little bit about her childhood, but other than that, we didn't learn too much lore about her, but even then, her story quests are really good. So hopefully you get a character story quest in Sumeru that's on par with Ayaka's, because Ayaka's one is probably like one of the best ones, in my opinion, but in terms of Yoimiya's one's really good as well. Yoimiya's one kind of NPC heavy in a way. She's basically trying to sneak this guy out of Inazuma or whatever, and she did go around helping NPCs with their work or whatever. So it's kind of NPC heavy in a way, but at the same time, they kind of felt more like side characters. It didn't really feel like the story was focused around them. Maybe the guy was trying to escape Inazuma, maybe focus a little bit on him, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like Yelan bad or like Ayato's bad. I thought it was pretty good, like a good balance between the two. And in terms of lore, we did learn a little bit about Yoimiya's lore, like why she started doing firework and her relationship with her dad and stuff like that. And also the ending animation was really good, like one of the best ending animations ever. Yeah, like I really like Yoimiya's one a lot. When it comes to Raiden, the first one was kind of her walking around town, basically seeing everything that changed, and her learning about the culture of Inazuma for the first time again. And we kind of learned about how she thinks and all that stuff. And at the end, it was kind of about Kuju Kamaji or whatever, and her kind of testing him to see if he fit to lead the Kujo clan or whatever. But at least in this story quest, Kujo Kamaji was more of a side character, not like a main focus character like Ayato's, so it wasn't so bad. For the most part, A's story quest was basically focused around her, and the NPC characters were kind of side characters. So it was kind of good for the first part. And second part was kind of her going around, I think it was some kind of like strange mist or whatever that kind of brought people back from the dead, and her kind of learning about her people, how they thought of her. And also I think she kind of faced her past and kind of tried to change herself by fighting her puppet. And also you got to talk to Makoto or Makoto, how you guys want to pronounce it, at the end. So in terms of lore, it was really good. Kind of learned a lot about the past of Inazuma, as well as her relationship with her sister and all that stuff. So it's really good. And any animation for this one was really good as well, so I like that one a lot. And it wasn't really NPC focused, so yeah, A's second story quest was really good. I also forgot to mention that A's story quest, the ending animation for the first part was kind of her fighting Kujo Kamaji, which was kind of cool, but also at the same time kind of lackluster in my opinion, but not just me. Yeah, and anyways, in terms of Kokomis, it wasn't too NPC focused. The only NPCs that really appeared was them kind of voicing their problems to Kokomi and her feeling overworked. I knew one part where there was like a festival or whatever, so for the most part they kind of felt like side characters. The story quest kind of focused mainly on her, so that's good. And when it comes to lore, I think we learned a little about her. I'm not exactly sure, but I think we did. Kokomi's one was pretty good, but unfortunately I don't remember what the ending animation was, so yeah, if you guys remember, definitely would know, because I don't remember. But for Ito's one, for the most part, it was basically centered around him. There was a lot of NPC characters in his story, like the grandma and the kid, as well as the other blue Onis, but even then it didn't feel like it was focused around them, more so there's like side characters. In terms of the lore, we did learn a lot about the Onis and the difference between the blue Onis and the red Onis, as well as a little bit about Ito's past. For the most part, Ito's one's really good, and the ending animation is good as well. Like I loved it, like one of my favorites, one as well. Yeah, Ito's one's pretty good. In terms of Yai's, I think Yai's one was kind of us going around and writing a story or whatever. Could be wrong, but I think that was it. And then at the end, I think she's some sort of like ritual or whatever, or something like that. But in terms of being NPC focused, I feel like there were more so side characters in a way. It really didn't feel like they were the main focus, but more so they were just there. It wasn't so bad. And in terms of lore, I don't think we learned anything about Yai. I could be wrong, but I don't remember learning anything about her. But I definitely let me know what we actually did, because I don't remember every single story quest. But for the most part, Yai was okay. It wasn't anything crazy in my opinion, but at the same time I did like it. But yeah, you guys know how I think about Ayato's story quest. We basically focused around the two NPC characters and barely about Ayato. Like I said before, this character story quest should have been one of those side quests that was unvoiced, and Ayato should have got a different story quest, but that's my opinion. But in terms of lore, we didn't really learn too much about him. I could be wrong, maybe we actually did learn something about him and it kind of just flew over my head, but for the most part I don't really think anything interesting. And as I said before, the animation for Ayato's story quest was just us beating him for the first time, and that was a little disappointing. But not to say I didn't like Ayato's story quest, I just feel like it didn't really fit for a character story quest. So yeah, that's my opinion. But in my perfect story quest would be the first half, it would focus on characters' lore, learn more about them, kind of learn about the personality, and then the second half would be doing things with them, and then having NPC characters being side characters in the second part of the character story quest. I feel like that's my perfect character story quest. But honestly, I wouldn't really mind a character story quest just being seeing the Traveler and whatever character that story quest is about, kind of sitting down and drinking a cup of tea and just talking about their past and stuff like that. Like, I would be so down for an entire story quest just like that. We don't have to do anything, just them talking about the past and kind of learning more about them. Like, I would be completely okay with that, but at the same time, a lot of people might think it's boring just to sit down and just talk about characters' past. They don't want to do something. I feel like also story quests are them trying to sell the characters as well. But they gotta have a section where you can test out a character. That way you can see whether or not you like their gameplay or whatever. So I feel like if we just have a story quest where it's a Traveler and whatever characters the story quest is focusing on, just sitting down, just talking, I feel like they can't really do the whole demo thing. So that's why I say that the perfect story quest would be the first half just talking and learning more about them, and the second half being actually doing things. That way they can also add in the whole demo thing. But definitely let me know what you guys' perfect story quest is, as well as what you guys think about what I said in this video. Whether or not you guys like character story quests to be more NPC focused heavy or more so character focused. Like I said before, maybe I'm the odd one out and maybe I'm just weird. But also let me know what your favorite character story quest is. Like I said before, my favorite character story quest was definitely Ayaka's. Also, if I mentioned that SHENHE didn't get a story quest yet, so I really hope she gets a story quest in the future. Hopefully not NPC focused, because I want to learn more about SHENHE, even though we kind of know a lot about her. But I'd love to have a story quest where SHENHE takes off the rope that kind of hold her back and make her not have a personality, and then her trying to get accustomed to having emotions again, having the Traveler kind of help her learn all these emotions, whatever. I think it'd be kind of fun, and I feel like it'd be a really great character development, and I feel like us trying to teach her how to feel again would be a very interesting story quest. So I'd love to see that in the future, but we'll see. MiHoYo, please make that happen. Like, I would love for that to be a thing. But yeah, all in all, that's kind of about it for this video. Basically, to recap what I said in this video, the story quests nowadays are kind of getting worse and worse in my opinion. I feel like it's starting to get more NPC focus heavy, but hopefully they change that in the future and make it so the character story quests are more character focus heavy, especially since with Sumeru coming out. It'll be very disappointing to see Sumeru character story quests be NPC focus heavy. Sumeru's a new region, we don't know anything about that and any of the characters there. So it'll be a waste just to make it be focused on NPCs. I really hope that doesn't happen. That's why I want to get this video out there, to kind of see if anybody feels the same way and kind of let people know more about this, I guess, issue or whatever. It's not really an issue, but you guys know what I mean. But a character story quest should be more about the characters, and it'd be nice to learn a little about their past or the lore or the personality and stuff like that. If you make a story quest NPC heavy, it no longer focuses on the main character and we basically learn absolutely nothing about them. That's why I really don't like story quests being NPC focus heavy. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. This video is getting super long, so I don't want to make this video any longer than it has to be. But if I forget anything in this video, I'll leave a comment down below talking about what I forgot, because these videos are not scripted, so I'm just talking on the top of my head. I don't remember everything I want to say, so yeah, I'll definitely let you guys know in the comment section below if, you know, anything important comes up. But if you have more Genshin Impact videos like this, discussion videos, or you guys like story reaction videos, kind of like Let's Play, where I kind of just play the story and react to that. The next story reaction video I'm going to be doing is the whole Sumeru quest, and that's going to be super exciting, so definitely if you got interested, look forward to that one. But yeah, I also do some summoning videos as well. If you guys haven't, definitely check out my last summoning video on Yoimiya's banner, because that was insane. Probably the luckiest I've ever been in Genshin Impact ever. Yeah, definitely check it out if you guys haven't. But if you guys like those type of Genshin content, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. I plan to do more of those in the future, and also I upload Genshin Impact videos every single Saturday. That's definitely time to check my channel if you guys are interested. But yeah, anyways, comment it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and yeah, definitely let me know what you guys thought about everything I said in this video. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.